To the liberated peoples of the lowlands, Queen Wilhelmina of Holland is the symbol of their independence. Prince Bernhard and then England's Air Marshal Cunningham meet her somewhere in Belgium as she returns to the continent after an absence of 5 years. The Queen goes back to Holland to her own people who fought with the Allied troops and are still fighting. In every Scheldt town where bitter battles raged a few months ago, the people gather to welcome their Queen. Here, where the gray winter's war left scars, the Queen talks to the humble people who never stop fighting for their liberty. She reviews the Dutch Marines who stormed across the dikes to attack the Atlantic Wall that the Nazis said no human power could breach. Everywhere the people hail her, pressing against police cordons for a closer view of one of the world's greatest women. For the women, the Queen has a special word of consolation. And again at Eindhoven, she talks intimately to the people. All the 10 days of her tour, as word passes from one person to another of her coming, crowds throng every street, every town, every road to hail her leadership in the struggle for liberty. From the halls of Parliament in old London, the greatest voice of the First World War is gone. David Lloyd George is dead. Last of the trio of titans who led the Allies to victory in 1918, architect with Clemenceau and Wilson of the League of Nations, symbol of liberalism and champion of the underdog, Lloyd George passes for the last time down a road he had walked since childhood among the humble Welsh farmers he had treasured most among his friends. His sons and daughters lead the mourners toward his grave near the River Dwyfor that Lloyd George had loved. He was 82. 2 months after his nation honored him with a peerage, the great statesman died, awaiting victory again over the same enemy the British people had fought in another time of worldwide crisis. France, torn by war and stifled by occupation, had little opportunity to benefit from the techniques developed by war. But with this new giant seaplane, France makes a bid for a share of the post-war air travel. This ship, nearly completed before occupation, was dismantled, taken away and hidden until the Germans were driven out. Powered by 6 14-cylinder Wright engines, developing almost 10,000 horsepower, 50 passengers and 12,000 pounds of freight can be carried across the Atlantic at 240 miles per hour. With its crew of 10 at their stations, it is ready for a trial flight in the skies of France. French technicians have built this plane for the tasks of peace. French resistance would not allow the invader to use it. Tomorrow, along the routes it will fly, it will be a symbol of the spirit of the new France. With undiminished fury, the Allied drives into the heart of Germany continue. After a fierce battle, the town of Aschaffenburg falls. Allied fighter bombers dive in ahead of the troops in pinpoint attacks. From Karlsruhe up to the Zuyder Zee, the German armies are being split, beaten, and surrounded. Trucks and equipment of all sorts are left smashed or smoldering on the roadsides. Sometimes, though, in the drive forward, they pass a spot the war seems to have forgotten, or break through a quiet farmyard that the shells have spared. Town after town surrenders. For them, the bombing is over. For others, the war continues. Sometimes the armored columns have to halt and deploy to rout out a nest of resistance. The infantry sweeps around to encircle a small group. Quickly, the job is done. The enemy commander surrenders, and with him the tired and battle-grimed remnants who had fought it out. At the small town of Wetzlar, a camp for American prisoners is overrun by the American First Army. These are Air Corps officers and men. The relieving columns had first outflanked the camp, so the prisoners could not be driven back into Germany, then had thrust forward and opened the gates to their cheering comrades. They start their march to freedom. In the little village of Nauheim, civilians had a field day with German army stores. Bedding, clothing, food stocks, wines are seized and carried off before Allied troops can be moved in to restore quiet. The facade of German order and respect for law is breaking down. Meanwhile, behind the armored spearheads, troops of General Patton's Third Army move in to seize the great city of Frankfurt on Main. The armor goes in through the ravaged streets. This was the fourth city of Germany. Square by square, street by street, the infantry moves forward in the mopping up. Snipers, machine gun nests, mortar positions, troops still holding out in the ruins, all are quietly dealt with, killed or made prisoner. Two of the German dead. And the Allies enter the great city of Frankfurt. The population comes out of its cellars. More and more swiftly, the German edifice is crumbling. Its battle is almost ended. Its last hour has almost come.